Good morning, students. Today we are going to talk about verbs. We all are doing some or the other action every time, and this action itself is called verb. Now, in today's class, we are going to focus on verbs and the three forms of verbs. So, let us begin a class. So, as I told you, verbs are action words in a sentence that describes a subject or what a subject is doing. And verb is one grammar part or one part in English that can stand alone independently. Like if I tell you run, you don't need a sentence for it. When I say run, you run. So it is something or some form that is very independent. So let us just go through it once. Verbs are the action words in a sentence that describe what the subject is doing. What is a subject? Boy, girl, dog, fan. These are all subjects. So whatever they're doing is the verb. Along with nouns, verbs are the main part of a sentence or phrase telling a story about what is taking place. Very true. Whenever we talk about anything, most of the time we are telling what the subject is doing or what the story is talking about when what is happening. So we are mostly talking about the verb. In fact, without a verb, full thoughts can't be properly conveyed. And even the simplest sentence such as Maria sings have one. So without a verb, a full statement can never be talked about because a verb plays a very important role in making sense in English language. So actually a verb can be a sentence by itself, as I told you, with the subject in most cases you implied, such as run, sing, dance, drive. Okay, so with all that, I'm going to give you a few examples on how verb is used in a sentence, and then we are going to come on the different forms of verb. So the first sentence here is Mark eats his dinner quickly. Now what is the verb here? Eats is the verb here. Second, we went to the market. Went is the verb here because it is showing some action being done in the sentence. Third, you write neatly in your book. Now this would have made sense, you write in your notebook, but then to add more meaning to the sentence, to add more sense to the sentence itself, you always add a verb. That is, you write neatly in a notebook. Then we have the thought about all the prizes in the competition. Now they thought deeply about all the prizes in the competition. Now you could have said that they thought about all the prizes, but when you add deeply, you mean some deep action was being taking place. Okay, so this is what verb is. This is how verb works in sentences, and it is very important. It is very important to know what verb is, and it is very important for you to use the correct form of verb. So to understand the correct form of verbs and to try to use it in the correct way, let's try to understand it. Okay, so yes. Before we begin with getting into the detail of the different and the main forms of verb, let me just briefly give you the first statement of three forms. So main verbs have three basic forms. The first form is the base form, where the verb starts with the base. Fine, I'll give you the examples. I will explain you in the coming slide where you will understand it properly. So for now we have the terms. So remember the terms. What are the three basic forms called? The first form is called base form, second form is called the past form, and the third form is called the ed form, and sometimes it's also called the ed participle. Fine. So with that keeping in mind, let us move forward and try to delve into each of the form in a different way and try to understand how do we use it. Okay. So coming to the first form, we have the base form. Now the base form is the most simple form of verb. It is the basic level of verb where you don't use any other statement, where you don't try to make it more difficult. So it is like if you say sing, if you say run, if you say dance. So these are what base forms are. But to explain it in a better way, or to make you understand in a better way, let us try to read and understand it. So base form is used as the infinitive form. Infinitive means a basic. So it is used as the basic form with to or without to. Do you, like for example, do you want to come with us? So you are using a to. I can't leave now. So here you are not using a to. Fine. And for the present simple, I always read before I go to sleep every night. So it for the present time, for the present now, present tense, you also use the basic form. Like I always read. Read is a very basic form of verb. Fine. So this is what base form is, where you don't add anything to support it. It is in itself very much sufficient. Fine. It is the version of the verb without any endings. Like there is no ending as of like ing, ed, or any s is not there. Like it is not singing, it is not played, or there's no play, he plays. So it does not require any ending. It is in itself very much sufficient. Like words like as I told you, run does not have ing, run does not have ed, run does not have s. So the base form is the same as the infinitive. So what is infinitive? Infinitive is the basic form, which means walk, paint, think. Fine. So coming to the examples, let's take us the first example, which is when I ring the bell, you leave the room. So when I ring is the base form, and leave is the base form, where you're not using anything. Fine. You're not using any form. You're not using the past, the present, the future. You're just using one word. Ring and leave. The second example, the music teacher insists that John sing. Now sing is another form, base form. The tour guide recommends that we travel in pairs. Sorry. The travel is another very base form. Why is it a base form? Because we are not using it as traveling. We are not using traveled. We are not using travels. So it is the base form. I want to see the stars tonight. Now, as I told you, to can be used. To does not have to be used. So here we are using a to. I want to see the stars tonight. Fine. Next, chefs love to cook even more than their patrons love to eat. So again, we are using a to here, that chefs love to cook even more than the patrons love to eat. Very basic form, but then we are using the to with the verb, the base form. Okay. Now coming to the next form of verb, we will be talking about the past form. Past, what do we get out of past? Past is something that has happened in the past, which cannot be repeated in the present or in the future. So something that has happened. Okay. Now as you say something that has happened, you yourself are adding ed. Fine. So that is the speciality of past, where you add ed to it, where you add something that makes it looks like it was happened in the past. So in the past form, you use the past simple. You don't add anything to it, but it's just a past simple. How do we come to know that something has happened in the past? Like if you are adding, if you are say open, then you want to say opened. Now when you say opened, it already means that it happened in the past. Then when you are like, there are many terms where the whole word is changed, as like when you use go in the present, it changes to went in the past. So the moment you use the term went, you are talking about the past. So these are certain simple past terms that are used, and it is the second form of past form. Fine. The verb, so used for the past simple, as like example, he opened the door and went out. So we will be taking some examples through which we will understand the second form of verb is also very easy, where you just talk about the past with the simple past basically, and there is nothing much added to it. So taking the first example, we have, last night I played my guitar loudly and the neighbors complained. So I played. Played is a very simple past and it is the past form, and complained also is added to it. She kissed me on the cheek. Kissed is another past form. Then we have, it rained yesterday. Rained is another past form. Angela watched TV all night. Watched or is another past form, simple past. And John wanted to go to the museum. Wanted is another past form, past simple. So we do realize that these past form or the past simple, like played, complained, kissed, yesterday, watched, wanted, all of them are the simple past. Nothing is added to it. We are not saying was playing, we are not saying was watching, we are not saying have been watching, we are not saying any of those things, and we don't have to, because in the verb second form we are just using the simple past. I hope you have understood, and with that we are going to move to the third form. Now coming to the third form of verb, this is a bit of tricky one, but then if you understand it, it's very easy. So this is the ed form. Now ed, as I told you, is like the last word or the verb, we add ed for the past. Like decide, we say decided. For provide, we say provided. For form, we say formed. So with the ed form, we used an auxiliary verb. Fine. Now what is an auxiliary verb? An auxiliary verb is usually, it accompanies the main verb. So when I'm writing hidden, I will use have hidden. So basically auxiliary is have or be. Now have, with have, what can we add? We can add have written, have droned, have ran. So all these terms, or whenever we see that some auxiliary verb is supporting the verb which is in the past, we call it the ed form of verb. Fine. So auxiliary is the verb that adds functional or grammatical meaning. So it usually accompanies the main verb. Fine. Now with example we will be able to understand this. As used auxiliary have or be, for one example we'll take here. I have always wanted a piano. Now I have. Fine. Have is the auxiliary verb and wanted is the ed form. So I have always wanted a piano and I was given one last week. So we will be taking certain examples here. Now the verb we have in the first bracket, we have the verb. In the second bracket, we have the auxiliary verb, like the supporting verb. And in the final, we have the past participle or the verb in the past form, ed form. Fine. So let us look into it. The first verb is form, F-O-R-M, form. Now to add the auxiliary, we have. I have formed the sentence. Fine. Now this is a sentence. I have formed the sentence. Now have is the auxiliary. Formed is the past participle of form. Correct? Have you understood this? If you can see the sentence, you will come to know which form of verb is this. This is the third form of verb. Reason being, we have one auxiliary verb and we have one past participle verb. Fine. So second, we come to decide. I have decided this issue. Have, we have the auxiliary. Decided, we have the past participle. Fine. Then we have the next verb, provide. I have provided these examples. Then the fourth we have, I have remembered the clues. So have is the auxiliary and remembered is again the ed form of verb. Fine. Now, as I told you that have is not the only auxiliary. We also have be as the auxiliary. So now we have the be examples. Fine. So I hope you all know that be is the present form and be past form is was. Fine. So in this we are using the past form obviously because we are talking about the past tense here. So for decide, we have the case was decided by the court. The case was is a be here. Decided is the past participle of decide by the court. Build, the stadium was built by Acme. So was is another auxiliary verb and build is the build, past is built by Acme. Then we have ride, which has the horse was ridden by Naoki. Now was is the past of be and ridden is the past of ride. Fine. So the horse was ridden by Naoki, and then we have provide, which is the test was provided by him. Was is another be past and provided is for provide. So this you need to, for this form of verb, you need to understand and think about it. So once you think and understand and then practice, you surely will be able to understand, because this form has very clear indications. Like you will have, you will have one auxiliary verb, you will have one main verb. So it is a very clear indication that what kind of form is this. Fine. So with this, we are done with the 3 forms of verb. Let us take some examples to understand more properly how the 3 forms of verb works. For the 3 forms of verb, we'll take example. We have divided it into base form, how in the base form we use it, in the past simple, how in the past simple we use it, and in the ed form. Fine. So let us take the base form first, which is open. Now in the past simple, it will be opened. As I told you, there is no other anything new added to it. You just make it into a past simple, which is opened. And then ed form, it will be opened. So what more you will be adding? Do you know? You will be adding have opened. Fine. So whatever you think is correct according to the sentence, you will be adding one auxiliary verb yourself. So you do think when you are doing the ed form that what auxiliary verb you should be adding. Fine. So the next base form is love. For past participle, it is loved, and for the ed form, it will be have loved if you can, or was loved maybe. Fine. So then we have the past form watch. In the past participle, watched. and then in the ed form we have watched again, which adding, actually we haven't added here. Have watched, was watched will be wrong, have watched will be the correct thing. So this will be the auxiliary verb added here. Then we have swim, that will be swam in the past participle, and for the ed form will be, we have swum, which is have swum. Okay. So the next we have go, for which we will have went, and then the next ed form will be gone. Now this is for your extra knowledge, students, that all the past participle or all the simple past do not have the somewhat same words where we add ed or something. We do have the different rules that come in between. Like for example, in in the tenses we have go, went, gone. So we don't have go, gone or something. So for go, the whole term changes into went, and then that two changes into ed, which is gone. Fine. So you do have to remember, or with practice you do come to know, there are certain changes or exceptions in grammar that do take place, and it does not go with the rule, but they are acceptable by all. So here, so for again we come back to the examples. Make is made, and then again in the ed form it will be have made. Then the last one, let's take it, put. For this we have no changes taking place. Again, some exception here where we have put in the base form, in the past participle there is no change. We don't do it like putted, it is put, the correct word is put. And then ed form also we have put. Maybe we can use have put, but then the put does not change. Okay. So with this, our verb and the three forms of verb ends. And students, you will be getting your worksheets very soon, so you do practice your worksheet properly. You do try to keep going back to the video if you don't understand anything, and try to understand it, because these things are very new and it will take some time to understand, to grasp the rule of it. So don't give up anytime easily, and just make sure that you do practice, you do think, and make good time of your free time. Thank you.